you were headed somewhere, you have reached it safely. Apparently, traffic a bit of an issue getting out of Dodge yesterday afternoon. I was already home and safely ensconced being here this weekend. We got Hops baseball this weekend, so that's what's taking up the bulk of my time. But hopefully you're going somewhere safe. Hopefully there's some golf in your weekend. I think the weather will be amenable to it. Won't be too hot. Will Ortner filling in.
What's up?
What's up, Big Will?
I'm just excited for my golf game tomorrow.
Oh, where are you playing?
We're going up to Lewis River. My buddies are out in Kelso, so I had to find a spot, kind of in between.
There you go.
And also affordable, so very excited.
Very affordable, still playable. I think there's some new management, if I've been told correctly, out at Lewis. There were always rumors that Lewis River was one of those courses, just like Meriwether and some others, is they're going to sell. Developers want the property. It's too valuable. The operational costs. So glad to see that it appears. I think I have my information straight, and correct me if I'm wrong out there, everyone listening. But I believe there are some new people. I don't know if it's in ownership or management, operating things out there. And going to keep that one going. Gorgeous spot right along the Lewis River.
Right.
Gorgeous big lodgy type of clubhouse and meeting facility as well. And yet lots of places to get in trouble out there too. A lot of trees.
Yes, a lot of trees, which does not go well for my driver game right now. We're doing a lot of hooking. But no, it'll be great. It'll be my first full 18 where I'm using my own. I played a scramble 2 weekends ago.
There you go.
And I played 9 holes at Rose City last weekend. Not bad for the start. Not bad for the start of the year. Shot a 45, so I'll take that.
You'll take that. That's a good starting spot. And I would say early, right before you're getting ready to okay, my calendar's freed up. The weather is better. I'm going to start playing. And there's lots of opportunities too. Whatever the case is, a lot of work, a lot of kids, a lot of whatever. A scramble at the right spot is a good thing because you're just focused on trying to execute golf shots. You're not worried about a score. You're not worried about, you got teammates around you. It's a loose environment generally. And so you hit a bad one. Okay. Try to take some stock of, all right, what went wrong there, so you're not repeating that. But yeah, chance to get the putter dialed in, maybe, short game, starting to work on stuff, but the pressure is off of it's your score, and you got to take the penalty strokes if you go sideways. So
100%.
A scramble or two at the exact right time early, I think can help kind of build some confidence rather than leave you wondering what's going on.
Right. Well, it's perfect, too. I'm getting my roommate into golf. I am converting him into the Colts of golf. And so it was the perfect way to kind of start it. Plus, it was for the Hawkinson High School football team, a nice little fundraiser.
There you go.
Great
That's
time.
What's going on.
Camas Meadows looked beautiful. It was great.
Oh, Camas. Yep. Camas should be in a great shape here, and all our friends up in Southwest Washington, our friends up at Orchard Hills as well. I'm hoping to get up there. We met the superintendent crew last month playing out there with the superintendent. Super, super nice guys. They love Souk out there. Big fans of Souk. So
a lot of people on that side of the river. He's become the mascot.
I know. He's somewhere between a mascot and a mayor. You know, you need him more as royalty, where he's more of a figurehead. He can't actually make decisions that affect things.
Yeah, he needs to be like the royal family.
So, yeah, somebody needs to get him the giant pair of scissors. He'd be good for just, cutting ribbons and waving and
handshakes
and taking pictures with. But yeah, don't actually have him making decisions that affect things.
Right. Well, and we need to keep trotting him around, but not too much, so there's not a lot of pictures, so I can continue to kind of pretend to be him.
Oh, I see.
Opportune times.
There you go.
Well, I'm not stalking,
Okay.
But if someone comes up and goes, Jason, what's going on? I'm not going to say that I'm not Jason.
Oh, okay.
Be like, yes, you should buy me that drink. You should pay for my golf round. Yes, these are things that you should do for Jason Sukanik.
Well, it is a busy weekend of golf. Lots going on. We do have a major going on this week on the Champions Tour. And a name you go, wait, where do I know that name from? We'll explain there. The LPGA Tour is off. They are preparing. Next week is the U.S. Women's Open. We'll have a preview of that coming up. We'll look back at the PGA Championship. Xander Schauffele finally getting his first major title. Joining us in the business of golf at the bottom of the hour. Very excited to talk to Tyler Carlson, former Beeve. Played golf for the Beeves. The Beeves are always welcome on this show. Tyler Carlson is a PGA associate at a Quail Ridge Golf Course in his hometown of Clarkston, Washington. It's a family operation out there, but he won the 2024 Washington Open at Meridian Valley Country Club up there in Kent last week. They had a big fundraising pro-am as part of it for Folds of Honor. And the American Lake Veterans Golf Course up there as well. So we'll talk to him about winning. Just kind of get a sense. He tried after his run at Oregon State, got on some mini tours with so many of these guys trying to follow the dream, the Canadian Tour, the Korn Ferry Tour, how much of a grind it is, how 1 week can change your life. We're following our boy Alistair Doherty. He's taking this week off. Next week, he's got his big shot at the RBC Canadian Open after that second-place finish a couple of weeks back at Myrtle Beach. Couldn't close the deal on the Korn Ferry Tour last week. I'm sure there's a bit of exhaustion, so he's getting a week. Hopefully he's getting a little prep for the RBC Canadian Open, but how much opportunity is there getting a start in that one? Can he put some points together? Can he have another top 10 finish to get him into another event? You've got the swing 5 and the swing 10, those sorts of things, where if you can have a hot couple of weeks on the PGA Tour, you can play yourself into maybe a signature event and a big paycheck, those sorts of things. So a lot more opportunity to seize the moment on the PGA Tour. But we'll talk to Tyler, who's now the head pro and giving lessons out at Quail Ridge. We'll talk to him about, too, that area of the country, the Inland Empire, as they call it. Golf courses out there, playing golf in that region, right on the Washington-Idaho border, where the Snake River kind of curls around and heads south down the border. So we got a lot to get to, but as always, we start by going inside the ropes.
It's time for an insider's look at the leaderboards, the latest on all tours, plus local golf events and golf news. This is Inside the Ropes, part of Golf in the Northwest.
3 tours in action this week. We're keeping an eye off. The Korn Ferry Tour is at the Visit Knoxville Open. Your leader, you had a tie, Cristobal del Solar of Chile at 11 under, but the one that everybody's familiar with, the great Harry Higgs, he of the wide open, unbuttoning down there, the great figure. Most of us are familiar with Harry Higgs' figure. Such a delight, so much fun. He's been on the PGA Tour, trying to get back 7th on the points list there at the Korn Ferry Tour. He already has a victory this season, a second one all but locks up his PGA Tour card, 11 under, 64 and 65. But as always on the Korn Ferry Tour, a logjam right behind. So you have, what do we got there? A logjam at 8 under. So you have 19 players within 3 shots of your 2 leaders. So you're going to have to go out and make more birdies at the Holston Hills Country Club there in Knoxville, Tennessee. But can Harry Higgs at age 32 play his way back to a PGA Tour card? Bogey-free 6 under 64 in round 1, followed it up with a 5 under 65 in round 2. 7,200-yard par 70, and these youngsters out there just ripping it as they try to make their move. Weather is always an issue at this time of the year in that part of the country. You never know when the thunderstorm is going to kick up, but we'll keep an eye on that one. We mentioned a major going on this week. It is the KitchenAid Senior PGA Championship, and they are in Harbor Shores Golf Club in Benton Harbor, Michigan, this Jack Nicklaus course up there. Wisconsin, Michigan quickly becoming one of those golf mecca areas, especially in the summertime. You get up there and long daylight. They take advantage of that mega daylight in the summertime, but the weather quite nice. It is a golf season, so they got to wait for things to unthaw up there. But the Dream Golf up there, you've got in Wisconsin, the Erin Hills area. There's going to be a major coming up at Erin Hills here soon. But Richard Bland, I don't know if you remember our boy Richard Bland. Does that name ring a bell? You might be a little too young.
I'm a little too young.
Okay. So Richard Bland had been grinding away for years, decades on the European Tour, now the DP World Tour. He finally, at age 48, was the oldest first-time winner a few years back at the 2021 Betfred British Masters at age 48 in his 478th start on the European Tour.
Wow.
And it was thinking about hanging it up or figuring out what the next thing in his career was, but that qualified him for some Open Championships, got him on a few PGA Tour events. He played in some U.S. Opens, had a little bit of success, and was a bit of a media darling. Well, one of the things that came with that victory was a one-time entry into a senior PGA championship in the next 5 years. Well, he was one of the ones that joined LIV Tour, and as a grinder, you're like, they're going to give me a check to go out at age 50 and make some money. And so he took advantage of that. Politics aside, I don't think anybody begrudges him from taking a golden parachute after a lifelong career like that. He got his victory. Well, he had a one-time exemption to get into the Senior PGA Championship. He couldn't use it last year because there was a confliction with the LIV schedule, but this year it was an off week, so he's out there, 64-66 at 12 under par. He's got a one-shot lead over Scott Dunlap, 3 shots over Chris DeMarco. Ernie Els is in the field at 8 under par. But yeah, our good friend Richard Bland looking to possibly win a senior major. And so you can check that one out. NBC has coverage at 10 a.m. this morning. And then Golf Channel will have the final round Sunday at noon, bringing things home. So we'll keep an eye on that. The PGA Tour, after last week's PGA Championship, they are at historic Colonial Country Club, the Charles Schwab Challenge. Youngster Davis Riley with a lead at 10 under par. Hayden Buckley tied with Pearson Coody. The Coody name, a legendary name in golf in the Texas area. He will have a ton of people backing him at 8 under par. The rookie, after playing his way on the tour from the Korn Ferry Tour a year ago. Keegan Bradley is at 6 under par, tied with Sung Jae Im and Sepp Straka. And after a rough go in round 1, Scotty Scheffler came back with a 5 under 65. He's 3 under. He'll play with Tom Kim this morning. Gary Woodland, an 8 under 64 in round 2. He's 4 under par. Everybody pulling for him after brain surgery a couple of years ago. One of the nicest guys, one of the most popular guys on tour. So he has a 10 o'clock start. Tony Finau, Brian Harman at 5 under par as well. So for a non-signature event, a week after a major, a lot of familiar names on that leaderboard. I know some of the players that have played Colonial, they love the history there. They love the course. Major renovations, though, done to it this year that the players are raving about. So if you haven't had a chance to see it, Golf Channel will pick it up. They're starting at 10 a.m., and then it will move. We'll see if they are on. They're on CBS today, so I believe noon or 1 they will pick it up. And ESPN Plus right now has the early feed and some featured groups. So that's what's going on around golf. And, of course, Xander Schauffele finally getting his win, his major win, his 8th career PGA Tour event. Most people thought it was only a matter of time. But, yeah, he picked it up right there. And really, some people say, when's he going to finally win? He's only 30 years old, so it's not like he was Phil Mickelson when he finally won the Masters. And if you look, he had 12 top 10s in majors in his starts. There were a lot of guys. Sergio Garcia, 22 top 10s before he won his first major. Freddie Couples, had 14. Tom Kite, 19. Mickelson, 17. So he's right there with some of the greats. And usually once you have that feeling of closing for the first time and winning a major, it just takes a burden of pressure off. So then when you are playing well and are in contention, it's just a little bit easier to understand, the tournament's not once you play yourself up onto that first page of the leaderboard, generally the tournament's not going to get away from you when you get to the weekend. The championship committees, the crew that sets up the tournaments, they're going to want a drag race coming down the back nine. It's what we got at Valhalla, and it was fantastic. Bryson DeChambeau putting on a show, and then Xander getting that birdie on 18. It was pretty fantastic and a great show. And so things setting up for the U.S. Open coming up next month should be a lot of fun. Congratulations to Xander. The U.S. Women's Open is next week. They're playing Lancaster Country Club. Second time they will play a U.S. Women's Open there. The last one was back in 2015. Unique design, architecture, and setup. And nobody hotter in the world of golf than Nelly Korda, who won again. We'll preview the Women's U.S. Open coming up next. And still to come, Tyler Carlson will join us in the business of golf at 8:30. We'll talk about kind of golf out in the Inland Empire area, small family-run course, being a PGA pro, his experience at Oregon State, and everything now as he transitions into being a purveyor and a professor and a teacher of the game, what he hopes to impart to those wanting to get into it and improve their games as well. Golf in the Northwest here on a holiday weekend. We'll be back on 1080 The Fan.
Portland Perks. Join Hood to Coast Race Series for the
Open coming up next week. But we want to tell you, don't forget, foursomes are running out fast for the Ottotown GMC presentation of the 10th Annual Fan Golf Classic out at Langdon Farms Golf Club, Thursday, July 11th. The date, you have a morning or an afternoon round to choose from. The afternoon round Just a handful of foursomes left, really close to selling out. Matt's Barbecue is back, serving their award-winning food, and the usual array of craft beverages will be in effect. Victorico's Mexican food also back for their famous breakfast burritos in the morning round. You can warm up for your round on the Michelob Ultra driving range. Our shows will broadcast live from the course once again this year. Your favorite fan hosts will be hanging out on Langdon's infamous par 3 6th hole, imparting our golf and wisdom, brought to you by Doers. I'll be out there at some point firing some wedges. Got to see how the wind plays, where they tuck that pin. But sign up your foursome now at 1080thefan.com before it sells out. And, yes, very much so. We're told it's down to just a handful of afternoon rounds. So July 11th morning might be the time to play. Who knows how hot it may be there on that Thursday. We'd love to see you out there at Langdon joining us. Lancaster Country Club in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, hosting its second U.S. Women's Open. This week they hosted the 2015 U.S. Women's Open. In-Ji Chun winning. Great back nine on Sunday, 4 under 66 to close and beat Amy Yang by a stroke. Inbee Park finishing third. Stacey Lewis tied for third at 5 under. Michelle Wie finished 11th that year at 2 under par. Just 13 players in red numbers. Brooke Henderson in the mix as well. So a great layout. The architect, if you go to usga.org, if you look up the U.S. Women's Open there, some nice articles about he was an architect at the time, right when Donald Ross and Tillinghast they were designing courses all over the country. William Flynn was designing them as well, but took a little bit more diligent approach. It wasn't quantity for him. He's maybe most known for Shinnecock Hills, maybe Marion. Part of his design, how he lays it out. Only 2 par 5s. Par 70 courses were one of his signatures. And so just 2 par 5s for the women. A lot of par 4s. Interesting use of a creek that runs throughout a number of the holes here. How he decides where to cross it, how to split the fairways, all of those sorts of things make it really, really interesting. But no matter the course right now, the overwhelming favorite on the LPGA Tour, no matter where they are teeing it up, is Nelly Korda. She won again her 14th Tour victory last week, 6th this season. First player since Inbee Park in 2013 to win 6 times in a single season. There's only 7 players since 1980 that have won 6 or more times in a single season. The all-time record, of course, if you go back, Dietrichson Zaharias won 13 times. That actually could be in play. We're a little over a third of the way through the season. The LPGA season stretches out so far because they finished the year over in Southeast Asia. They'll go deep into November. With how the season stretches out. Add in the Olympics. Nelly Korda is the defending gold medalist there. They play in Paris this summer as well. Nelly tied Annika as the fastest player to win 6 times on the LPGA Tour. Did not have her best game. She had to fight it out with Hannah Green down the stretch. Hannah, one of the I think she's the only other multi-winner this year. But Nelly just in a great frame of mind. Talked about afterwards winning without her A game.
Yeah, I feel like you never have your A game throughout an entire tournament. You kind of have to grind through it, even with your B, C, and D game. And I definitely felt like I had my C and D game today. Didn't really play that well, and just told myself that even though I was 2 over, I still had opportunities on the back nine to, take the lead or to battle with Hannah because she was playing solid golf.
She just seems to be as in the zone as any golfer out there. Doesn't seem to worry right now about, making a bogey here or there. She hits one loose, quickly recovers, but doesn't try to hit a miracle shot. tries to, manage it, not turn a bogey into a double or a triple. And I think that'll be key at this U.S. Women's Open. There are 8 par 4s over 400 yards. So driving accuracy is going to be crucial. She's long enough off the tee. She doesn't try to overswing coming off the tee. Her stats are amazing, but she's number 1 in greens in regulation at 76%, third in putts per green in regulation at less than about 1.74. So you combine that scoring average. She's the only player shooting under 70 on her scoring average. That all adds up to 6 wins. So just doing what she's doing, playing consistency. We know in U.S. Opens, par is a great score. 5 par 4s right out of the chute on there. 4 of them, I believe, 3 of them over 400 yards. So it'll be just getting out, getting comfortable into the round. But she talked about the U.S. Open yet to win. And so the key for her is going to be not putting too much pressure, not getting too amped up.
It was the first event I ever played in 2013 at Sebonik. That was where I kind of realized that this is my dream and I would love to live that out one day. So obviously I have a tie to that event emotionally. It's tough. There's definitely been some heartbreaking times where I just haven't competed well in U.S. Women's Open, where I feel like I put maybe a little bit more pressure on myself because I do love the event, and I feel like that is, out of all the events, that's like the event for me, because I'm not saying I'm not downplaying any other major. I'm just saying like that is where my dream kind of became reality in a sense. So obviously it's on the top of my priority list, but I just know that there's never any good when you put more pressure on yourself. So just going to stay in my bubble that week and take it a shot at a time.
And so with the off week this week, even though she's coming off a win, she played the previous 2 weeks, asked about, is that a good thing or does it kill a little momentum?
No, I'm excited for my week off. I've played 2 weeks in a row. And obviously, with the amount of adrenaline and the pressure and the head-to-head battle that I had with Hannah today, I mean, that wears on you. So I'll definitely feel pretty tired the next few days. And I'm just really excited to recharge my batteries. My sister's going to drive over tomorrow in the morning with Grayson. So I'm so pumped for that. And yeah, I'm just going to spend a lot of quality time with family, recharge my batteries, and then get back to the grind again.
She will be an overwhelming favorite in this. A week off, I think that'll be good chance for her to really dial in on the course. Family will be there. Of course, her parents were former professional tennis players. Her brother also is a professional tennis player on the ATP Tour for the men. So a different understanding of competing at that level, and I think she has found her sweet spot. I would be shocked if she's not in contention coming down the stretch, and we will be focusing on that next week. All right, it's time to chat with a former Oregon State Beaver golfer who just won the 2024 Washington Open. Tyler Carlson joining us next. Get a sense for playing golf up there in Washington, especially eastern Washington, right on the Idaho border. But golf being a family affair, that gets talked about so much. We saw it, last week at the PGA Championship. You see all of the players in there who are second, third, fourth generation PGA pros and have them in the family. We will talk to Tyler Carlson as we come back. Making the turn here, it's Golf in the Northwest on 1080 The Fan.
Did you know the law requires insurance companies
It's Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals between the Celtics and the Pacers. What is Tyrese Halliburton's status for Indiana? Can the Celtics decide not to play with their food and take a stranglehold on the series? That'll be coming up for you as well. But right now, we are so pleased to have joining us from, I'm assuming, out near home in Clarkston, Washington, Tyler Carlson, PGA professional, head teaching pro out there at Quail Ridge Golf Course, winner last week of the 2024 Muckleshoot Casino Resort Washington Open. Up there at Meridian Valley. More importantly, a former Oregon State Beaver. The orange and black runs deep in my family there after a career. So, Tyler, it's a pleasure to have you joining us this morning. How are things?
Things are good. Thanks for having me on.
Well, so much to get to. First, congratulations last week, a deep field, 8 under par, 66 and 70 out at Meridian Valley Country Club up there in Kent for a one-shot victory. And how much fun is that to raise a trophy as somebody who was competitive all the way growing up through your junior career, played at Oregon State, and then some professionally? How much fun is it just to hoist a trophy?
It's the pinnacle of golf. I mean, that's why I grew up playing the game, is to compete in tournaments and, win some trophies. The money's a nice bonus, but trophies are always, that's why we play.
No question. Well, let everybody know a little bit about the history there. You grew up in Clarkston, Quail Ridge Golf Course there, but it's really a family affair with your dad and your brother. You guys are all golf professionals. When did you get the bug?
Yeah, I mean, my dad, he's been a PGA professional for 40-plus years, and so basically, ever since I could walk, I had a golf club in my hand, and we moved to Clarkston in like 2002, and our family actually bought Quail Ridge Golf Course, and so I just grew up going to the golf course every day, hanging out, and playing golf, and watching both my dad, brother, and sister. They all played collegiate golf together, or at different schools, and just wanting to be like them, and that's just the path that I followed, was with the golf club in my hand. And
well, and to Clarkston, obviously smaller community out there. You're right on the border of Idaho by the Snake River, and so golf courses out there sometimes don't have all of. It's more of a community thing. You're part of the community rather than trying to be a destination, so to speak. And so, but not a lot of opportunity for golf. How did you guys, obviously with your dad being a professional, you were getting proper instruction, but the opportunities to go and compete growing up, how did you guys develop, the skill to all go play in college?
Yeah, just played around here. I mean, we have 4 golf courses here with Lewis and Clarkston, we call it the Lewis Clarkston Valley. And so I'd played all those. And then junior tournaments, we had to travel quite a bit. I mean, most of those were up in Spokane. So every time you wanted to go play in a tournament, you drive 2 hours up to Spokane and play against all the people from up there. And then just lots of time in the car, traveling up there over to Seattle, Portland. That's the one thing that we have over here, is we have to travel for our tournaments.
No question. We're chatting here with Tyler Carlson, winner of the Washington Open last week, part of the Pacific Northwest section of the PGA of America. And so the journey, we see so much, so many guys getting, and college golf continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger. It probably doesn't look anything like it did, and you only played like 10 years ago there at Oregon State. But the transition from going from a top collegiate or amateur player to trying to make it on the professional ranks, what did you learn about yourself? the grind that it took, and what led you back to wanting to now get into it on the teaching and professional side, running a club and doing all of those things?
Yeah, it is a big jump. I mean, you go from high school level, you can compete, you can win tournaments, and then you can take the best of those and go to college. And then the competition's that much better at that level. And then you take the best of the best from college and in the pros. And so I tried that for a few years after my college career and did some traveling around the U.S. and up in Canada and got some status up on the McKenzie Tour up there, and spent my winters down in Arizona playing in tournaments and really enjoyed the time doing that. But, I mean, it is a grind. You are traveling, and it's not the PGA Tour lifestyle where you're hopping on jets flying to tournaments. I was loading up my car, and you're living quite the lifestyle when you can fit everything you own inside of a Toyota Camry and move from destination to destination. But then, after a few years, I realized that I didn't have the drive and passion to keep grinding every single day to go for it, and I wanted to still stay involved in the game. And now I love being able to coach juniors and other people that are in the same position I was like 20 years ago. And I mean, golf's given me pretty much everything in my life. So that's what I want to pass on to them.
Well, and that's the interesting part here is, looking outside of the glamour of the big tours and all of those sorts of things. What in the camaraderie that you build, I think, on those mini tours, you're all in the same boat. And while you're trying to be competitive amongst one another, you are, I think, you form some lifelong friendships, almost like a little fraternity. And rooting for everybody else when they do have it going when they have their shot to take advantage of it. What did you take away from that experience now that you are trying to teach along with the game and the skills and the love for it, but some life lessons as you're giving those junior lessons and seeing the next round of talent come through?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're out there, we're carpooling together at tournaments, sharing rooms, living life together because we're all going through the same thing, and we all know how tough golf is, and it's such a fickle game with one day you're the best player in the world and you feel like you are and you win a tournament, and then the next week you tee it up and you miss a cut and all of a sudden you could be down in the dumps. So it's nice to have that community around you to keep building you up, and try not to take it so seriously that it's absorbing everything in your life, and just enjoy playing the game. And that's what, a lot of the people that I teach now, I just say, like, when I'm playing my best, I'm having fun out there. Like this last week when I was playing, my dad was caddying for me, and we were just having fun. And that's the way the game's meant to be played, and that's when I play my best. And so that's when I'm trying to pass on to other people.
PGA professional Tyler Carlson out there at Quail Ridge Golf Course. Maybe I think when people think of that, destination golf in that area, Coeur d'Alene is the first that comes to mind. But playing golf in the Inland Empire area, all central or eastern Washington, western Idaho, up and down the Oregon-Washington border with Idaho, what sort of unique experience is it? And they say your course is you're playable year-round. People think it's snowing all the time up there. Not necessarily, but what should people know about that area of the region and how much good golf opportunities are out there with your course and others?
You may not think it, but there is plenty of opportunities. We have 4 good golf courses here in the Lewis Clark Valley. Just about 30 miles north of us, you've got Palouse Ridge and Pullman, and there's course in Moscow, and you got Walla Walla that's fairly close. The unique thing about Quail Ridge and the courses down here is we're in the valley that's about 600-700 feet elevation, so we are definitely warmer than our surrounding areas. So like this past year, we were only closed with snow on the ground for about 2 weeks. So it allows us the diehards to get out there and play golf all winter long. And so that's a lot of the draw here is all winter we get play from the Spokanes, the Coeur d'Alenes, Montanas that come here because they want to play golf in the wintertime.
And then what's it's a little drier there too, I think, climate-wise, if my memory serves. But what's unique maybe about if you're going out there to play grasses or how courses play that maybe is a little different from the west side of the Cascades?
Yeah, we are definitely a desert climate. We get on average about 12 inches of rain a year. So just overall, everything's pretty much drier. I mean, right now everything's super green, and because we haven't been getting the spring rain and through the winter, but in the summertime, I mean, we go a little bit more, I don't know, because it gets so hot and we'll have months that are over 100 degrees. I mean, things dry out, so it gets firm and fast. And that, I mean, to me, that's a fun thing. It's what I grew up on, and you can hit some long drives, and it makes it challenging going into greens because things are firmer and the wind's blowing.
Well, congratulations, first of all. People that want to learn more about your story, your course, come out and visit you in Clarkston. Where can they go for some more information?
Yeah, we have you can come out to the course in Clarkston. Our website is golfquailridge.com. It's got all of our rates, our phone numbers, email addresses, and links to our Facebook and Instagram account. And mostly just give us a call. And if you guys want to come over and play, we'd be glad to host you.
Well, yeah, tell them you heard him here on Golf in the Northwest, and making a trek out. Very affordable and reasonable out there as well for you, so you can get a lot of bang for your buck. Tyler Carlson, well, congratulations on the win last week. Hopefully we'll see you down at some of the Oregon tournaments later this summer. I know they've got one coming up at Arrowhead, and then everybody will be over at Brasada Ranch into June. So hopefully you can get away from lessons and tournaments there and make one of those. And congratulations again. Thanks so much for taking some time for us this morning.
Yes, thank you.
There you go, Tyler Carlson, our winner last week, former Oregon State Beaver. Go to the website. It is Quail Ridge Golf Club. Outstanding. Very, very playable over there. And as he mentioned, really dry now. Well, it's starting to get warm now, but ideal time of the year if you're looking to get away to an area. Gorgeous, right in the canyon where the Snake River crooks around and heads south, forming the border between Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. Fantastic. So thanks to Tyler there. We'll come back. Few odds and ends to clean up here. Things that we're looking at, some congratulations as well in order, and get you going on this holiday weekend as we come down the stretch here. It's Golf in the Northwest on 1080 The Fan.
Save big with up to $12,000.
Other regions in the section, up into Western Washington, Central Oregon. Talk to some of the pros and some of the areas to get to here throughout the rest of the summer. Again, we've got one major going on that we're keeping an eye on, the Senior PGA Championship. That one taking place between NBC and the Golf Channel this weekend. U.S. Women's Open will go next week. Also next week, we're keeping an eye on our buddy Alistair Doherty. He was in position leading after 36 holes of last week's Korn Ferry Tour. Unfortunately, could not close the deal. But a few weeks back, he got that second-place finish at the Myrtle Beach event that was opposite the signature event. That allowed him entry into the next Open, which is this coming week, the RBC Canadian Open. And I wanted to go back. We didn't have time last week with everything going on with the PGA Championship and other guests. But I thought Alistair, we've been following him. He was a great high school player here in Vancouver, and then a two-time Division II All-American at Chico State, working his way through the Mackenzie Tour in Canada, on the golf, now on the Korn Ferry Tour with status. But he talked about what was the difference. We've seen him have a good round, but it was rare when he put a whole week together, and just now at age 30, where his confidence level has gotten to.
Man, that's a while ago. Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of confidence in college and during the summer of Oregon Junior Golf and Oregon Amateur Golf. And, yeah, I feel great now. I know I've improved in all aspects of the game, so why not now?
And I think that's where you get to once you trust everything, that there's not forces working against you or anything like that. Just not being afraid to just let it rip. As far as technically what has been working for him, it's maybe not what you think he's known for.
I mean, the putter's staying hot. My short game's been saving me a little bit here and there, and that kind of just keeps the flow of the round going. And, I haven't hit it great off the tee, but I've been in the right spots in the rough and judging the lies for the most part pretty well. And, we're putting ourselves in good spots and taking advantage at some points.
Yeah, he's one of the longest players out there on any major professional tour, but his ability to finish and score is what's been holding him back and trying to play for a score, but he's finally kind of abandoned that. And his mentality, he's worked so much on his attitude, not getting down when he's not performing or not scoring based on the way he feels like he's playing.
I just believe in myself. I always had the doubt in my mind, and I was playing very conservative, and now I'm able to, trust myself and hit the shots that I know I'm able to hit. And, it's just belief.
And it's so much. We see so much, Xander Schauffele breaking through finally to win his major. We know he's got every shot in the bag, and it's just a matter of trusting everything, trusting yourself, understanding that while it is what you do and it's your profession, and you've, how much you've put into it, it still is, 1 week is not going to define you as a person. It's certainly can change your life, but the ability to focus in the moment and just enjoy and play the game and have the opportunity out there is hopefully going to pay off and get him a victory, whether it's on the Korn Ferry Tour, but next week at the RBC Canadian Open. We wish him the best of luck. We'll be following that as well. Congratulations in order for the University of Oregon women's golf team getting to the stroke play portion last week in Contra Costa, the Omni course out there at La Costa. Unfortunately, could not get to the championship. They beat LSU in the quarterfinals. Huge finish. The freshman, Kiana Romero, was clutch. She won her match against UCLA. Unfortunately, they fell to the Bruins 3-1. They didn't finish the last one, obviously. So UCLA and then Stanford winning it all. But in the final year of the Pac-12, it was the very first time since they've gone to this format of stroke play, then the top 8 teams going to match play. at the NCAA championships, that all 4 semifinalists were from one conference. It was UCLA, USC, Stanford, and Oregon. They continue to knock on the door, really only a matter of time, I think, before they'll have an opportunity to win one. Now they go to the Big Ten, and we'll see how that affects the program, their ability to still get, but they go in with UCLA and USC, dominant programs. Obviously, you can play a lot of year-round golf, so we'll see how they fit in. I think as we, get fired up for all the conference realignment, mostly football and basketball, it's going to be interesting to see how these other sports kind of go about plotting their seasons and how their competitions will work. But Keanu Romero, after getting some wins and finishing, I think, top 15 there at the in the stroke play event, she did qualify through the U.S. Open qualifier process, so she will be teeing it up next week at Lancaster Country Club as well. A lot of players that were in there, a couple of the LSU players that were on that team that Oregon beat will be teeing it up as well. So we wish them the best of luck. It is Memorial Day weekend, so please, as you're out there in your rounds, do want to mention from last week that Washington Open, the Pro-Am raised $45,000 for the Folds of Honor program, which goes to support disabled veterans, getting them into the game, as well as the American Lake Veterans Golf Course, which we told you about last week. It's the only golf course in the United States designed to be played by disabled veterans up there in the Lakewood area, right near the Joint Air Force Base, McChord and Fort Lewis. And so that operation since 1995 has been entirely funded by private donations and fundraisers like this. You can go veterangolf.org/give-back if you want to find out how to be involved with that. But $45,000 raised for American Lake Veterans Golf Course. So thank you to everybody that went out there. You want to help out junior golfers here in Oregon as well. You can now purchase an OGA vanity license plate. So go to the oga.org/Oregon, Golf Oregon license plate. They're looking for signups there. I think it's $100, but it goes to Oregon Junior Golf. Start toting those around on your vehicles. That'll do it for us. Sinner and Saint is next. Thanks to Will Ortner. Get your rounds in. Have a great holiday weekend. We'll talk to you next week. I'm Jason. Hit 'em straight.
Playing a little hurt today. Luke Anderson here. I hope everybody's having a great start to the weekend. Let's check in with the most important guest hosts. Today, it's Will freaking Ordner, buddy.
What's up, dude? What happened?
Yeah, I lost my voice.
You got a little banged up?
No,
What's going on?
I feel fine.
It's one of those.
But I lost my voice. Well, I went down, played some golf at Shadow Hills down in Eugene on Thursday. I was shouting, I was talking, chatting the whole way back. Felt my voice getting a little raspier as we kind of drove up I-5 back to the Portland area. And I was like, yeah, I might not be able to talk tomorrow. Sure enough, woke up yesterday morning, nothing. Just like a low whisper.
You're like, well, this is unfortunate.
But I've got a little golf tournament this afternoon that I got to play in the Matsters.
Ooh,
not to be mistaken for the Masters, but the Matsters is a good friend of mine who does his annual tournament at Edgefield. It's just about as much fun as you have. You can't skip work and then go have fun.
No, you're right. You're right.
You tell the family, you're like, oh no, I feel fine. I'm going to go do the show.
I got to do both.
If I'm good enough to do the show, then there's no reason I need to cancel the golf tournament.
100%.
So here I am. I'm doing the show, and I knew you were sitting in, so I
I'll
was
be
like,
loud
come
for
on.
both of us.
What's that?
I'll be loud for both of us.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. But so for the opportunity to come in here, we know Darkins is out, and then to call in two backups the day before the show. That's not fair to the listeners. It's not fair to you. The only reason you agreed to come in here is because you get to hang out with me for 2 hours.
Of course. I'm here to have fun.
And, of course, Golf in the Northwest. Let's not pretend that wasn't, a big selling point for the whole thing.
Swag and I we did have some golf combos.
Well, as you should.
I'm 3 for 3 right now on weeks straight of finding a reason to get out on the course.
Okay.
I snuck out for the Hawkinson tournament 2 weekends ago. Found a way to get out to
where do they play the Hawkinson tournament?
Camas Meadows. It's unfortunate. We used to have it was a good course. Cedars was a very good course if you played the original course.
So I was down in Eugene, and the one thing we were chatting it up with another group, and the one course that the guy wanted to know about, he's like, "Oh, you still play the Cedars?" I go, "Buddy, it's been closed for 3 years.
Gone. It's gone."
And yeah, well, I don't know how often you listened to the station at the time, but I used to do the endorsement. I loved those guys.
Cedars was awesome.
One of the best clubhouses that exists, and it was like it was completely underutilized, but there's a wild story behind why that was built up the way it was.
It's like 2 stories, but like half the time you need to be in the basement, half the time you need to be up top.
Well, no. So Royal Oaks is like the premier country club.
My neighborhood, yes,
over in the beautiful Vancouver area. But when the guy decided to open the Cedars, the idea was that it would be the North Clark County equivalent. So you'd have people that lived on both sides. So Hawkinson, Battleground, Brush Prairie, whatever they would use. The Cedars, people that lived in Vancouver, close to the river, could use Royal Oaks. This guy went and sold everybody on the idea, and he offered for a few grand, you could buy a lifetime membership to the new Cedars.
Really?
Collected a bunch of money and then just took off. Built the clubhouse, used it as a sales pitch, never finished a golf course, boom, took off.
No way.
So then a bunch of people sitting there going, well, I got a lifetime membership. And they're like, well, we ain't going to be able to finish it. So, because that guy just took all the money.
Wow.
So then they finished it out. And it was, local public course, but with this big extravagant clubhouse.
Yeah.
But because it was a public course and they didn't have membership dues, they could never really utilize the whole clubhouse.
Right.
But anyways, so the Cedars, in its original form, man, if somebody would have just put a little bit of cash behind it,
right?
But here I am down in Eugene on Thursday, and somebody's like, "Oh, the Cedars." But I think the other thing that got it too is, no offense to Battleground, but Battleground, the city of Battleground, annexed the Cedars, and then I don't think they had the appreciation for what they were losing and going actually fighting the county, because the county just took it over, turned it into green space. They're just like, we'll let it grow.
Yeah. Oh, I thought they built it into like, because parts of it are now, it's like houses and stuff. They built it into a little neighborhood thing.
So the way that the story goes is the owner was trying to get some cash to save the course, so he sold off what used to be the original driving range, hole 1 and 2.
Right.
Those became houses, but most of that course, I mean, you know this, it's all wetland area. You can't build houses along Salmon Creek through there.
I guess
so
that's true.
The majority of the course is, you know, you're not building on there.
Well, and that's the part that is like so unfortunate. Like in high school, that is the home course for the Hockinson Hawks.
And it was for the Tigers, too, the Battleground Tigers.
In Prairie, I believe.
I believe you're right.
But what we used to do
Falcons.
is we would maybe lie a little bit and say that
you would not.
I was thinking about being on the golf team.
Yeah, there you go.
And my brother was already on the golf team. So it was $40 a month, and you could play whenever you want.
Yep.
You got 2 range tokens every time you came in.
Come on.
All you had to do was walk. And so what we would do is we would go and our early morning workouts were 9 to 10, I think, or 9 to 10:30.
Sure.
So I'd go work out. Sometimes I'd drag my brother along. He was like a Monday, Tuesday drag along. Thursday, Friday wasn't coming.
Sure. Gotcha.
And then
he could only handle a couple days of you per week.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
that checks out.
He couldn't live with me for too much longer.
I can see that.
And then we went and we'd get food, like have lunch, whatever we were eating. We'd go change, go to the course, and go play 9 every single day. I loved my junior and senior like summer of just being able to hang out and go and play golf all the time. I would drive us around. My parents could do whatever they wanted because I had a car at that point.
Yeah.
And like I have super fond memories. I went and played the Cedars. Probably it had about 6 months left on its life.
Yeah.
It was so sad because the first 2 holes were gone. So then they changed some of the holes. So
they flipped the 9. So the
untouched.
what used to be the front became the back, but they had to re-engineer it. They had the great split par 5 that would have been 6, and that used to play sideways. They split 9, which used to, I don't know if you played it because I don't remember when they changed it, but where you used to play to the base of the hill and had to go up the hill on the par 5 for 9.
So by that point, by the time I started playing it, that was the tee box for.
It still is. It always was. So the tee box was across, but they still had that green. The green.
Yeah,
up on top.
The green wasn't there. The green was down below.
Yeah, and then they put it back in when they had to add another hole. So then you play.
You're right.
You play back up the hill.
Yeah.
But it used to be that was one. You had to play this great setup shot to get it up that hill. It was There
were a couple holes. I think it was the 4th hole or the 5th hole, which was the par 5. Maybe it was the 6th. Par 5.
6 was a par 5. You had to go over the creek twice.
Yes. And so, like, if I hit my driver just perfect, I could sometimes get it over. But so of course, I did it once every time after that. Like, I'm going for it.
Yep.
And it's like, dude, it's so much better to go 7-7 and you're chilling. But I loved that course.
That's great.
I'm very excited. Tomorrow I'll be out on Lewis River.
I haven't been in Lewis River for a while. I've heard it's kind of being improved.
I liked it. I was out there once last year. I got some buddies who are out in the Kelso area.
Yeah.
So
you ever play Three Rivers?
I did actually. Yeah.
Three Rivers
for
nice.
one of these guys' birthdays last year. But the whole thing is like they don't want to come all the way down here, and I don't typically want to go all the way up there.
Yeah.
And so we try and find somewhere in the middle, maybe a Tri-Mountain,
Sure.
maybe a Lewis River. Every once in a while I'll get up there for Three Rivers just because it's a cheap course, but it's a good course.
It drains super well. It's always dry. It's a great one for the winter.
Right.
But yeah, the Cedars, I can still remember the shot that kind of hooked me on golf. And because when we were kids, you probably never played Boyers.
No.
Okay.
Is that the one where by Prairie?
Yeah, where the Winco parking lot is right there.
So that I knew it was a course, but by the time I could even play, it was gone.
Yeah, so the Boyers was a tight par 3. I think the longest hole was like 120 yards, but it's like it's like 80, 90, 100, 120 maybe, and you're just kind of bouncing around. It's super tight.
Yeah.
And you'd go and you'd rent clubs, and they'd give you like a 7-iron, a pitching wedge, and a putter or whatever it was. Like you didn't need much to play it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'd go out there when we were kids, and I had such a baseball swing that I would play left-handed. I would just, because we're renting clubs, so I just get left-handed clubs. I'm like, well, I don't have a golf swing right-handed.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be just as easy. So every time we went out there, we didn't play enough that I was good, but I was okay.
Right.
But what happened when I got into high school was I didn't want to rent clubs. When you go to a big course, there's a lot more money to rent clubs. The clubs came with the $12 green fee or whatever it was at the Boyers. And so I was out at the Cedars and I borrowed my brother's clubs.
Yeah.
And so his clubs are right-handed. I'm just swinging as hard as I can, but I'm doing that baseball swing.
Mm-hmm.
And the fifth hole at Cedars is the one that dropped off the hill.
Yep.
And is the dog leg left.
Yep.
Probably played 6 shots, ball never got off the ground. Just rolled it all the way up to the bunker, right in front of the green. And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, I got to get over this bunker. I just got to get in the air.
Mm.
Haven't hit in the air all day. And I'm just sitting there just like, get in the air, get in the air, get in the air. Pop it up, goes right over the bunker, bounce right in the hole.
Oh.
Hooked.
Instantly right then and there.
I played
yeah.
golf for 30 years because of that stupid shot. It's cost me so much money and so much heartache. And every time I get a little bit better at golf, I get a lot worse. And then I want to murder people. And it's the worst game in the world. And it's the stupid Cedars and that stupid shot 30 years ago is the reason that I play.
Yeah.
The reason I'm going to go play today. The reason I went and played on Thursday. It's a big waste of time. I've spent too much time, too much energy on this stupid game, but it's all because of the Cedars. 5th hole. Just got to get in the air. I can't remember what happened the rest of the round.
Mm-hmm.
I know I made enough good shots to come back, but that one, I can still picture it in my stupid head exactly where I was and watching the ball go up over the bunker, bounce in the hole.
Everyone has a couple of those shots. Yeah. I didn't, last round I didn't make any shots, but I am a total bump and run player. Like that is how I play. When I grew up, my grandparents bought me these old, like the junior clubs. Well, I had the junior clubs until probably about 2 years ago. So
the beginner set all the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm used to being like, if I even slightly looked up, I'm topping everything.
Sure.
So now that I finally have clubs that fit me, I still kind of play that bump and run style because that's what I'm used to.
Yeah.
But I had 2 shots out at Rose City on last Saturday where I had to go over the bunker, and on both of them, I put it like 6 inches to a foot maybe from the hole, and I've been jonesing to get out. Like, if it hadn't rained as much as it did this week, I would have snuck out and played by myself.
Sure.
Like but that's golf. Golf has this, it's the most toxic relationship that I've ever been in because golf beats you down like a bad girlfriend or a bad boyfriend, and it talks bad about you.
Oh yeah.
And every time you think you figure them out, they change and they make you feel just horrible and you hate it inside. And then in the last minute, you have a beautiful shot or a beautiful putt or a beautiful hole where you get a birdie or an eagle or you save par because you hit one in out of the bunker and you go, I think I can change them.
I've got to figure it out.
I've finally done it.
This relationship is not toxic. It is so. She's so warm and she's so loving. It's a beautiful game.
She loves me. No, it
gives you just enough to keep going.
It's the most toxic relationship that I've had in my life, and it'll never change.
Did you watch the PGA Championship last weekend at all?
Of course.
Okay. Did you watch on Saturday Shane Lowry's round?
You
see him finish?
I know he got hot.
Oh, he got okay. So he is, if he gets the par on 18, he'll finish tied for the best finish in any major ever, 62. Xander Schauffele did it to open the round, and here's Shane Lowry, birdie 17 or whatever it is. And so now he's going in with an opportunity to go low, but all he needs to do is par, and he ties the record. 4 guys have done it. He'd be it's happened 4 times because Schauffele's done it twice. So he'll become the 4th player, 5th round ever at a 62. All he has to do is par the par 5. Okay? So he goes in to the par 5, 18th, and just misses a fairway by, I don't know, a yard to the right.
Right.
So he's sitting in the long stuff. And the 18th at Valhalla is
split.
That's, split. So now he's hitting out of the rough, and he's looking at it. And you got water and more danger on the right. Pin is way right. And he's looking at it, and he decides to play it safe, so he goes left. There's a lot more fairway to deal with, so he's not going to go. He's not giving himself an eagle chance. He's going to play it safe, but he misses left because he's coming out of the deep stuff. And so he misses left, and now he's in the rough on the left side, and he's looking at this huge green, and he's got bunkers in play in front of him, and so he's got to go all the way up, over, across the green, out of the rough on the left. He puts it like 12 feet. Just a killer shot.
Beautiful. Yeah.
I mean, it hits and just sticks, and him and his caddy are looking at each other, and now he's got a birdie putt for a chance to go 61. Nobody's ever done it. He misses a 12-foot putt by 3 inches, and you'd think that he got hit by a car. Just his face. And he's playing with Justin Rose and Jason Day, and they're like, all 3 guys are so sad that this guy has done what 3 other golfers have ever done in the history of a major. And like, you can shoot a 57 and be like, yeah, but if I made that putt on 14, it would have been a 56.
Right.
No matter how well you play, the rescue shot after 2 meh shots puts it within 12 feet, gives himself a chance, but because he missed it by 3 inches, he taps in to tie the record for the best round in major. They've been playing major golf championships for how long?
Over hundreds of years. 100 years. 100 years.
Over 800
Over
years, not
800.
hundreds of years. But still, that I think epitomizes golf as much or more than anything. Where, hey, nice 62. Yeah, but I should have.
Yeah.
The first thing out of his mouth, is, yeah, but if I'd have made that putt,
100%.
If I'd have hit the fairway, then I could have went for eagle. And how easy is a birdie on a par 3? If that tee shot is 2 yards to the left.
100%.
It's a stupid game It's a stupid game for stupid people.
Exactly. The great Tom Ortner is playing in his first solo tournament probably since high school.
Nice.
I cannot wait to hear about his round on Sunday or Monday because it's exactly going to be that. He could play great. Yep. He could play horrible, but there will be a point in there if he plays great where he goes, it could have been this. And if he plays horrible, it'll be, it was this, but I had this one shot.
I shot a 90, 54 on the front, 36 on the back.
It's insane. God.
I can't do that. I mean, if I did that twice, it's a 72. That's even par. I shot even on the back, but I shot a 54 on the front. It's a stupid, stupid game.
Isaac Ropp, the 3 ones.
The 1-1-1. Yeah. Hey, who's got that? I need you to do something for me.
I got you.
Everybody's very upset because college football is over. It's ruined.
Right. It's changed.
It's a disaster.
Title IX's gone too, is what they're claiming.
Okay, this is what I need from you.
Yeah.
I need you to catch me up on everything.
Okay.
And then I'm going to attempt to explain to everybody that they're stupid. Okay?
Love that.
Because I think I know what's going on. But I'll be honest, anytime there's big changes in college football, I go very much in the meh, but it's over. The whole thing is over. Will explain why, and I will explain why you need to calm down. We will do that next. Sinner and Saint on 1080 The Fan.
Auto accident?
Last night was one of the more entertaining basketball games you will find anywhere. But we mainly need to talk about Kyrie Irving's shoes. But right now, the biggest story seems to be everything going on with college football and how much change there is in college. And oh my God, change in college football. It's
always.
Thank you. It's so dramatic, the way that people are reacting and the way they feel bad for all of these poor universities, and it's exhausting. But I will be the first to admit, when people start going through this calamity that is the politics behind universities and athletics and amateurism, and how dare they, this is a Will Darkin stance. I don't think they should pay these players. The scholarships are good enough. The NIL is ruining the sport. Shut up about all of this stuff. Explain to me, Will, from your perspective, what the hell's actually going on, so people can kind of understand it. I know that you're a man of the people, so if you can put it in their words, so everybody can kind of understand the academic part of what is actually happening right now.
Okay, so there's a class action lawsuit that was just settled. It's called House versus NCAA. So the Power 5 conferences, including the Pac-12 and the NCAA's Board of Regents, I believe
it is the 2-pack now.
You're right.
Okay.
They voted to settle on this. So basically, they are going to pay $2.7 billion in back damages over the last 10 years to Division I players. So unfortunately, even though I fall in that range, D2, I don't get any of that money. So basically,
that seems like a lot of money, but
it's not.
Yeah, when you spread it between, this is all athletes at the Division I level?
I believe so, yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people. And then so with this, what they have decided to do now, or I don't know if it's decided necessarily, or they're being forced to now through the NCAA, is so there are no longer any scholarship restrictions. So there were restrictions on so D1 football, you could only have 85 scholarships. That is no longer the case. Like if you are on the football team, you are scholarship, because what they do is they scholarship 85 players, and then they'd have another
walk-ons,
60 some odd walk-ons.
Yeah, they'll have 130, 140 people on a roster, which seems insane to me.
They'd have, so like UW had different locker rooms. So you had the walk-on, you definitely will never ever play here locker room, and you had the you're on scholarship, also you're a preferred walk-on, you have a chance to play. Like that's how you knew where you stood in the pecking order. Are you in this locker room or are you in that locker room?
And they put a guy in there every year into the scrub locker room,
right,
that they know is good enough to be in the other locker room, just so they can move him in front of everybody. So they're like, we got a chance, guys. Let's all start taking roids.
Or they take the scrub kid and put him in the good locker room and demote him.
Oh,
so
they
that everyone knows.
Definitely do that too.
You got to fire him right away. So then the other thing is,
and it's like a grad assistant that's been there for like 14 years, and they're like, no, everybody knows who John is. Every year he gets demoted, and he's just really good at crying on cue.
It's called the red shirt, guys. And so then the other big thing coming out of this is they are now going to have basically a salary cap of what they can pay their players.
Who's enforcing this?
And that's where the problem comes in, because the NCAA has no teeth. The other thing about this settlement is you're like, oh, they just settled $2.7 billion. They'll never get sued again. Incorrect. They can get sued again. And there's other lawsuits that are coming down the pipeline that are going to come in where the NCAA might lose those court cases, because they seem to lose every court case. They're like the Washington Generals right now in the legal system.
Yeah.
And so there's still more change that's going to come from this, because now you don't have the scholarship limitations. So if you want to have 100, you're going to have 100. If you want to have 85, you're going to have 85. You have to pay the players.
Boise State's not paying anybody anything unless they prove it. We've heard that.
Right. Well,
from their coach.
Well, and that's the NIL.
No scholarships for anybody. We're not paying anybody anything.
So you're still and that's the part that's dumb.
Them and Debo Samuel.
Right.
Or not Debo Samuel. Dabo Sweeney.
Dabo Sweeney. Well, that's the part that's dumb about some of this too, is like, so they have this salary cap, but the NIL is still a thing. But there are a lot of schools, they have shoestring budgets.
Yep.
I mean, the University of Arizona is in debt up to their eyeballs. And I bet you the more that you start unraveling some of these,
dude, they get that
teams,
Big 12 money. They're going to be good, man.
No. Because part of this lawsuit is basically, I believe it's $70 million every year. Just basically, that's gone.
Yep.
That's taken away. So half of these schools went and signed these big TV deals, right? Or went into a conference and signed a big TV deal. That's taken away. For a team like Oregon and UW, who are getting half, taken away, right?
Yep.
And then you're having to pay more out of your own pocket. So it's one of those things I think a lot of people have been kind of turned off to this because it's so nitty gritty and you're getting into all these legalese. And as soon as you start seeing paragraphs where, it's like the plaintiff goes against this, most people kind of tune out. It's completely changed college sports and it has killed amateurism because you're going to have to pay. But there's still so many questions that are left to fall out from this because schools it's not going to shock me if there are multiple, and I mean multiple schools that look at this and just go, football's gone. We're done with it.
Well, but okay. All right. Thank you. That's the way I understood it. I appreciate you doing that little run through. I know that there will be people that will be upset if their school gets rid of football. But let's be honest. It is not going to be somebody that has a real chance at winning a national championship. And unless it's your school, which I'm not trying to minimize that because Oregon State and Washington State are on the outside looking in right now. And I'm sure plenty of people went to universities and loved the football program when they were there and all of that. But at the same time, this is, I hate to say it, it's kind of just, it feels inevitable. There's been more and more money pumped into college football, and there's been more and more money pumped into sports in general. The addition of legalized gambling, the NIL, the toothlessness of the NCAA. Like, if you didn't see this coming 1,000 miles away, I feel sorry for you. It feels very much that way. And the whole conference realignment thing that's one of the more laughable things that, when people freak out about that. Oregon playing in the Big Ten, this is unbelievable. Dude, the conferences have never been static.
Right.
Like the idea that like these conference alignments are sacred. I was looking at the Big Ten's membership. Do you know how many teams they have in the Big Ten right now?
18? 16?
Well, that depends. Do you count Notre Dame?
That's right, because they're in sometimes.
They're for hockey.
They're an associate team.
Do you count John Hopkins? Because they're in for lacrosse.
That's right.
So it's like, dude, like the idea that any of this is sacred, and it's. I don't think anybody's doing the things that are in the best interest of the schools, because that's the other thing there. Well, now academics just aren't going to matter. Do me a favor. I pulled these up just for a little quiz here. Best football school in the country, I think we would agree, is Alabama.
Yeah.
I pulled up the most famous Alabama alumni. Google gives me 9 on the front page of the most famous. 3 of them are tied to football.
Okay.
Joe Namath, Bear Bryant, and John Stallworth are all on here and tied to football. So that leaves 6 left. Can you name me one of the most famous Alabama alumni?
No shot.
No
shot.
Okay.
Absolutely no shot.
I'll give you Harper Lee is number 1.
I should have known that. Actually, I love To Kill a Mockingbird.
Okay. All right. There
I
you
should have known that. That's a miss on my part.
Okay.
That's a miss.
Behind that is Jim Nabors.
The inventor of the hood?
No, Jim Nabors is an actor, which I
didn't
always love.
Neighborhood?
Which I always love. This is its author, which like you. Yes, she probably took some English classes, but she didn't go. You don't go to school to learn to be a novelist. That's something,
right?
That, and she wrote one book. Like
she wrote one book, and then she kind of wrote a second, sort of.
Published it postpartum postpartum. That's not the right word.
Postmortem.
Postmortem. That's the word that I was looking for. Post mostly. And then Jim Nabors is an actor, and he didn't go there for theater, I'm guessing. So the other ones, there's a couple politicians on there. Okay, the largest university in the country. More names that I recognize on here, and the 9 names up here. I only have one of them that is a football player, and he's actually on here wearing his football jersey, but more famous for poker. So 9 names on the Ohio State. Most famous Ohio State graduates. Largest university in the country.
Ohio State most famous? Mark Titus. Greg Oden. Mike Conley.
I like what you're doing. Like what you're doing there. No. There's a couple of them that are sports related, but none of them are basketball players either.
Who's your number one?
Richard Lewis.
Oh, what are his thoughts on tattoos?
I don't know. Didn't he? I believe he's gone. But comedian Richard Lewis is number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two on here is Jack Nicklaus.
Okay, I was not gonna know that.
Yeah,
I think most people would be like, Will should know that. Will should not know that.
No. I'll run through the names. I honestly did not. I would not have put Jack. I might have guessed, but George Steinbrenner, Patricia Heaton, Bobby Knight, Dwight Yoakam,
wow,
Jesse Owens, Jeffrey Dahmer.
That's good. Most famous there. Gotta love that. I'm sure they're thrilled that's on there.
So the idea that without football, these universities are in trouble. Like, this country is insane anyways. The idea that everybody needs a bachelor degree to get a job anywhere, dude, that's kind of a system that was put in place to help out the university systems. These are state-run organizations.
Right.
There was a big ad campaign to think I didn't go to college. I still got a job. I'm still doing just fine.
One of my jobs, I don't have a degree for that.
There you go. So the idea that you have to have a degree has been a fraud anyways. I mean, you look at what's going on with financial aid in this country, and you look at what's going on in the actual university system. And the other thing, too, is amateurism was always set up so that the elites could eliminate the less than. They just wanted it to be very exclusive.
They've done it behind the scenes. It's been quiet. Now you see it in front of you.
If you look at the entire history of college football, who has the most championships?
It's Michigan?
No.
Is it the military academies?
Nope.
Oh, are you talking football?
Yeah, football championships.
Just football?
Just football championships. If you go all the way back.
It's not the military academy?
No.
Are you going to use Harvard or Yale?
Yeah, it's Yale. Yale has 28 championships.
Okay.
But once upon a time, the Ivy League dominated college football because they made it so elite.
Right.
And then somebody went, hey, if we get in on this, and that's when you start having scholarships and you start having all of this. But when you made it where it was an elite privileged thing, and then, around World War II, they kind of went, you know what, we can beat these guys. Yeah. I've got an idea. And they started prioritizing football. So yeah, Ivy League.
Mm-hmm.
Well, left in the dust. There's been changes throughout college football the entire time.
It became huge in the South. That was they used it. There's a great. It's not a 30 for 30. It's like an SEC storied, I believe, but it's called Saturdays in the South, and it goes on to
I would need to correct myself. Princeton 28, Yale 27.
Oh,
so, then Alabama was 24.
Well, but that's the whole thing. In the South, it's why it's so big down there and why it matters
just means
more.
more.
It's because they used it as a way of
propaganda.
Well, but it was also how they were showing that they were strong. We are strong. We create strong men, and they used it through football. But the part that I don't understand is there's a lot of people that will come out right now and say, this is the end of amateurism. Football will have unlimited scholarships. They'll do this, all these different things. And for me, I always go back to, I have a sport management degree, right?
Yep.
I took classes on how the budgetary stuff works.
How this works.
Right. They have to be Title IX compliant. So for them to not have to deal with Title IX, then they have to leave the school.
Yeah.
If they do not leave the school and it stays like this, but they start trying to pay, to be Title IX compliant, you have to offer then, if you're offering 85, or let's do a round number. If you're offering 100 scholarships for football players in the fall, that means you have to have 100 scholarships for different women's teams in the fall.
Yeah.
They have to be the same. If you have a salary cap of $22 million, I don't necessarily think you have to have the same $22 million for women's sports, but you have to have it's like an equal thing of if they bring in X amount, yours has to, it has to be the same proportion, right? It doesn't have to be the same, has to be the same proportion. I don't know how any of that works. Like, how are they able to do that?
But this kind of goes back to my whole point of this, though, too, is the idea that, well, if we just get good leadership in college football and, let's let people focus. Where are the people? Somebody said this this morning when I was driving in on the radio. Where are the people that love these sports? And how come they're not stepping in to make sure that this is done right? And the reason there is legislation that requires that they balance it out, the reason that these cases go to the courts, the reason the FBI was investigating college basketball before NIL came around to see who was giving who money, the reason we're using our government dollars to investigate college sports is because left to their own devices, they're going to choose greed, they're going to choose self-interest, they're going to do what almost all businesses do, what all people do when they're left to their own devices, going, hey, we got a big opportunity to take advantage of this and make a ton of money. It's greed. It's blatant greed. And the idea that the sport was ever altruistic, that it was ever, selfless, that it was ever a gift that was given to the country. Like you said, the South used it to perpetuate what they thought men should be. This is football. This is what we do. This is the church. What is it? Family, church and football or whatever it is. Oh, faith, family, football.
Right.
That's a big mantra because it perpetuates what these people believe, and they used it as propaganda, and it's always been that way. So don't give me the idea that college football was ever this great pure thing, and if we could just get back to that, we'd be fine. This money is corrupting it. Nah, man, it's always been corrupt from the very, very beginning. So let's do this. I want to hit this just a little bit longer. We'll stick with college football, talk about that. Then we'll get to some good versus evil. We'll get to basketball in hour 2. But first, we got to get to this SportsCenter update. in the Vancouver Ford text line handles all of our texts. Your dollar goes further. Vancouver Ford, they treat you right before, during, and after the sale. Visit vancouverford.com. That number 503 TOGO fan, to go fan. Just dial that in, and then we can, read your text. And if they're good enough, we'll read them on the air. Somebody says one of the elements that college football absolutely cannot lose is the college element. That's what drives the passion of the fan bases. If you take that away, it just becomes an inferior product a la minor league baseball and the G League. In other words, it's in the interest of the schools and the athletes to keep some semblance of amateurism alive. I could not disagree more. I did not go to school, so I won't say that I have an allegiance to a school because I went there, but all you're really doing is you're selling the idea of amateurism. It's been that way for such a long time, where it's a marketing ploy. It's never been the reality. Did you feel like an amateur athlete when you were at Central Washington?
Well, yeah. I mean, you're very amateur at D2.
Well, I know, but I get that. But how were your facilities?
When I went there, they're much improved now, thanks to my yearly donations to the Wildcat Alumni Challenge. No big deal. So when I went to Central, when I first got there, it was a grass field. It was a track that had holes in it.
Yeah.
The way I would equate most of our facilities would be to a above average high school that probably hadn't had stuff renovated for about 20 years. That would be what I would describe it as. Our weight room was like a cage, and it was an indoor facility kind of thing, but it wasn't turf. It was the old rubber. But they have revamped it. They waited and they fundraised, and it took them years. And now they have an indoor facility. They have a brand new weight room, brand new athletic facility. It's now top of the line D2. Okay. They might feel less amateur than I did when I first showed up.
No, that's fine. But that's kind of when you think of the idea of amateurism. It's the idea that you're doing it for the love of the game. And at that level, there's probably a big element to that. Now compare what you had to any of the college facilities that you've seen or been around.
Oh, it doesn't compare. I remember
it's not even the same thing.
Yeah, I remember my visit to WSU, they had their own cafeteria. They had their own weight room. Their meeting rooms were the best chairs, the nicest leather, all this different stuff. My meeting room was next to the cadaver lab. My meeting room was where the students would go into before they went and poked the dead bodies.
That's hilarious.
That was my meeting room. My meeting room was a classroom.
Yeah.
It was very similar. It was a slightly better than high school feel at the start.
Sure.
To be fair to Central, because we're the greatest university ever, we've improved it. They've done a great job of improving it, and I would hope that the new students and the new student athletes who are there feel like it's a little bit of a step up. But can you even put that in a comparison to any of the Mountain West schools, let alone, you can't compare what Central has to Montana.
Really?
Montana State. Yeah. That is how much money gets put into those schools. And Montana State, they don't hold a candle to what I saw at Air Force, who doesn't hold a candle to what you would see at Oregon. So it really turns into, whenever people say, well, I want true amateurism, I want kids playing for the love of the game, then you should watch Linfield football. You should watch Western Oregon football. You should watch Central Washington football. Guess who's not getting NIL out there? Or the NIL that they get, it's here's a free protein supplement that you can have if you tweet out our thing. If you want professionalism, you want the Pac-12, the SEC, the Big Ten, that's professional football under the guise of amateurism.
Have you ever been to or seen a profile on high school football facilities in Texas?
Yeah, that's the other thing.
But this is my question.
We don't compare to that.
That's the answer that I was
We don't even
for.
compare to that. You know where the D2 National Championship game is played?
At a high school stadium in Texas somewhere?
At a high school stadium in Allen, Texas, I believe.
There you
go.
You step up to that big, nice stadium that the high schoolers play at. I'd like to see somebody track the player movement in high school sports. Because even when we were just covering it locally, there was kids transferring from schools at a very high rate to be at the best Southwest Washington schools. Do you think of Southwest Washington as a hotbed for college or for high school football?
It's good? No.
It's not even close. I mean, if you go around this country, I mean, you talk about Southern California, Texas, Georgia, Alabama, Florida, like Ohio, where these kids are moving around to make sure that they go to it. There isn't amateurism at the high school level in this country for football, let alone at the college level. And even you are willing to admit that it's close to amateurism at the D2 level that people are not paying attention to. So if you're hoping that they hold on to some semblance of amateurism, it's just marketing. That's all it's been for as long as I can remember. The other text I wanted to read, I love this. Not a great sports week if you strongly dislike private equity, college football, and the Dallas Mavericks. The one that got me, the one that really got me, was Game 7, Timberwolves win. I forgot that Alex Rodriguez was part of that ownership, like just for a second.
He kind of isn't.
I know, but I saw his dumb face, and he's over there whooping it up with the group, and I'm like, oh yeah, like it's all like the owners stepping in, because Mark Cuban's everywhere in that, and he's a big eye roll for me. But anytime any part of ownership gets like the camera time, I'm just like, oh yeah, that's right. It's none of this is for the love of the game. So it is very disappointing. All right, with that, we need to get to good versus evil. You ready? You ready for some good versus evil?
I am ready. I show prepped.
I love this. I'm very excited. Good versus evil next. Sinner and Saint, 1080, The Fan. The key to heaven.
Let the Sinner and the Saint shred the gnar while you just sit back and ride the wave. It's time for Good versus Evil, brought to you by the Titan of Hawaiian Restaurants, 808 on 1080 The Fan.
Brown for three, ties his playoff career high. 1:51 to go, a 40-point Game 2 for Jaylen Brown.
That was Jaylen Brown hitting a three in Boston's last matchup against the Pacers to go up 2-0. There's a lot of talk that Jason Tatum should be asserting himself into a top 5 player in the league category, all NBA this year, first team. Is Jaylen Brown their real closer, their real finisher, and not the best player on their team?
No, they don't have a real finisher. That's the problem that the Celtics have. You look at the Mavericks game last night, and they have 2 closers. And I'm sorry, but did anybody think that Luka Doncic was not taking that shot or being stopped? Like, even if you double team him, I still feel like he's splitting it or throwing a lob dunk to tie that game. But Luka Doncic gets the ball, and I go, watch out. Jamal Murray gets the ball, and I go, watch out. Kyrie Irving, LeBron. There's so many closers in this league that I would have to go through. You know what? It'd be fun to make a list how far down I would be before I would hand the ball to Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. I would love to look at the draft analysis from Jaylen Brown, though, because he is way outworked coming out of Cal as a Pac-12 Player of the Year. That pick was dumped on real hard. But no, I think those are 2 very good basketball players. But no, I don't know where they are in the league, but it's probably not in the top 15 of guys I want to give the ball to at the end of the game.
I'll tell you what, Jaylen Brown.
I love Jaylen Brown. I like him better than Tatum, but I don't think they have a closer. I don't.
Well, we'll find out if they really need
They'd have a championship by now. They've been one of the best teams in basketball. They're a closer short of winning the East every year.
Are they the closest to the Detroit Pistons? The Pistons that knocked off the Lakers?
No, because they don't play. The thing about that Pistons team was their defense. It was so good. And then I'd give the ball to everybody. I would take anybody but Ben Wallace on that team for a final shot before I'd give it to Tatum or Brown.
Yeah, fair enough.
Gobert is out there. Doncic maneuvers for the lead. Got it! What a shot! Dallas has taken the lead.
That's Luka last night hitting the 3-point game winner over Rudy Gobert. Thank you, TNT Sports, for that call there. When you look at this NBA playoffs, are we all stupid for just assuming that Minnesota was going to go and win the title once they beat Denver?
Yeah, I think we are. I didn't have that belief necessarily, but here's the thing that surprised me. Okay, so Luka makes that shot. There's 3 seconds left. They advance the ball to half court. Who took the final shot?
Naz Reid, but it was a good shot and he was open. It was a good pass.
Okay. I don't care. He was what, like 7 of 8 at that time from 3.
Yep.
That's a fantastic game. That is the 6th man of the year. He's a role player. He might be the best role player. He is a role player. If you're Anthony Edwards, and I'm sorry, but Karl Anthony Towns cannot get back in the game because a guy gets a little hot shooting, and you have Rudy Gobert on ice skates out there. I don't know what it is, but like it felt like this postseason has given us like a little belief that Cat might be the dude. He's shooting the highest 3-point percentage, or at least was at one point in the playoffs. He is a very good player, but he was a guy that we never thought had the engine to keep going. The fact that a guy gets hot and he cannot get back in the game. He played 26 minutes, not even on the court at the end. If you have a closer, there is no way that they are letting Naz Reid take that shot at the end. That's gotta be Ant or Cat, in my opinion, if the Wolves are who we thought they are. But when Dallas got the ball, we knew who was taking the shot. And if it wasn't Luka, it was Kyrie, and you're good. But for Ant to give up the ball in that situation, I thought that was a huge mistake. What was the score?
They lost 109 to 108.
So it's a 1-point game.
1-point game.
1 point. You don't even.
I would have
need
liked
a 3.
to see him attack the rim.
Come on.
I would have liked to see him attack the rim.
Or just turn and take a mid-range jump shot. But you're the guy. Right. You're the guy. Be the guy. And I know that John Paxson made a shot to win for the Bulls, and I know that and Robert Horry and Derek Fisher made game-winning shots. I get all of that, and it was probably the right play. But I would have loved it, and it's not just the final shot, but he was not assertive in the fourth quarter. And the TNT guys were talking about how exhausted Ant is at this point. And come on.
My biggest issue was the series before, where you're able to give it to Luka. You're up by 2, and you don't even get a shot because you make a bad pass. So,
Yep.
Did not love that.
Yeah.
Johnston unable to get a shot away, and here come the Oilers. Nugent Hopkins will roll it down, working against the steady Tanev. Oh, it's in, it scores! It's over! 32 seconds in, redirected from the slot.
That's the OT finish there in Game 1. Rogers Sportsnet on the call. McDavid with the Game 1 winner. Is McJesus finally going to get his cup?
I don't know. There's so many elements that go into a championship for the
NHL team.
For the NHL to win the Stanley Cup, but it starts with goaltending. And honestly, I don't know that
they have the worst goaltender.
Yeah,
and it's not close.
But I don't know that they can just rely on double OT. Doing everything that you have to hang on and put a lot of faith in people. Like it's a great win. I love that it's Connor McDavid, and I know he's Canadian, but when you're watching the NBA and the best two players are Doncic and Jokic, then you look over it and you're like, oh, McDavid, I can pronounce that. Like how
that's
does
a normal name.
How does hockey have more normal names than basketball right now? But no, it's a great win. I mean, I suppose I'm rooting for the Oilers, but just because I thought the Canucks were finally going to do it, but so much for that. Right. But yeah, I mean, you can't rely on goal scorers in big moments. You have to rely on goaltending, and I don't think the Oilers are that good.
And they have the worst goaltender of the three. It'll be interesting to see if they can get it done, but I would like them to.
I guess I'm rooting for them.
It feels to me like McDavid is getting a little bit of the LeBron at the end of his first stint in Cleveland treatment, where he's the best player in the world and everybody knows it, yet they have to go on talk shows and be like, well, he can't win the big one.
Oh,
he can't win.
Yeah, but I never think that with hockey. Like, that's not the one I go to where it's like, if Gretzky never won a cup, then he wouldn't have, like, his numbers were astronomical. Like, it's just, to me, in my head, that's not a thing. It's like in football, outside of the quarterback position, we don't do that.
Right.
We do it in basketball because there's only 5 guys on the court. But imagine if basketball had line changes. And you're playing 15 guys, and then you have your Rudy Gobert just stands there and tries to swat everything away. Like, you wouldn't give the same thing to Charles Barkley. It's you play both ends of the floor, and you're integral in everything that's going on. The only sport I think that it really has any validity, which isn't fair because it's the hardest sport to win a championship in, is basketball. Sure. It's the only one. Quarterbacks, I kind of get it, but I still don't like Dan Marino.
Fair. All right, time for my favorite story. All right, so my favorite story is the ever-evolving saga that is the Scotty Scheffler arrest. Came out today, some of, not today, but this week, some of Detective Gillis's prior transgressions. So I'm reading this from the New York Post. This is my favorite part. In 2013, Officer Gillis was suspended for 5 days without pay for doing donuts in the parking lot while an intoxicated civilian was in the car.
That's rad.
He went full super bad.
That's perfect.
He went super bad with McLovin in the car. And that's the guy that arrested Scotty Scheffler.
Well, here's the thing. There's so many more people that know and love Scotty Scheffler. And there's no way Scotty Scheffler did anything wrong, because have you seen his iron play? Like, there's a 0% chance that Scotty was in the wrong at all, because, like, you see how he gets up and down out of a bunker? Like, there's no way that he was entitled and talked back to a cop, because, like, dude, his putter's magic. Like, when there's pressure on Scotty Scheffler, he's going to hit the fairway, he's going to hit the green, and he's going to get a birdie. There is a 0% chance driving into a major championship that he did any back-talking whatsoever. So I say we dig up all the dirt on this cop, and we just run him through the mud, and that's the worst thing that we got on the guy? Is the donuts? Like, is he the best cop? Probably not.
He's had some suspensions.
Yeah, you know what? Like, if you're trading places with anybody in this situation, you want to be a cop, you want to be the best golfer in the world.
Best golfer in the world.
Of course you do. Nobody's taking the cop's side.
Every single time.
I don't know enough about the law enforcement resume and infractions. How often are, because this guy's obviously been a cop since at least 2013.
Right.
I imagine he's been on the force for a very long time. Do you have a 20-year career without ever getting suspended? I'm sure that there's a million very good cops that have a flawless record. But I'm sure there's probably a lot of guys that they're like, you know what? Is he the best guy? No. Is he a perfect cop? No. But does he show up? Does he work hard? Does he take traffic duty when we have a bad
though he doesn't want
situation
to?
where, yeah, dude, nobody wanted to be there.
Mhm.
And I'm sorry if this guy, if a guy shows up and just goes, "Do you know who I am?" and flips you a bunch of crap going into, dude, there's a dead guy here. We're just trying to get this all sorted out. I'm sorry that I didn't know what that guy told you 40 yards away. So it's the whole thing is funny to me. What I did see though, that the Louisville Police Department, they're like, no, we're not dropping any charges. So
so they clearly think they're gonna get some out of it.
Yeah,
or they're gonna wait until Friday and big news dump.
Well, and we just had another Friday though. I mean,
That's true. Well, they got one more Friday, the
Yep.
3rd.
No, I get it. We'll see what happens, but yeah, the idea that Scotty's the nicest guy. All the other golfers at the country club all have nothing but great things to say about the guy that shows up and just wins every time. This he couldn't be a nicer guy. The guy that's always in a good mood after he wins another tournament. Weird. Come on. Like I'm guessing that somebody that grew up at a country club could potentially have a little entitlement. It's a guess. This is wild speculation, but if he was perfect in the situation and he was the nicest guy that everybody says he is, he probably wouldn't have been arrested. It's wild speculation, I know. And I'm sorry to assume. Am I saying the cop's perfect? No. But come on, people. That's Good versus Evil, brought to you by our friends at 808 Hawaiian Restaurant. Mr. Order, did you hear the big news about 808?
No.
3rd location, Beaverton. Boom.
80808.
Very good. Look at you. Woodstock, Burnside, now Watson in Beaverton. So 3 locations if you're on the west side. You're welcome. Check out their website for menus. You can order right there for pickup or to go. ate-oh-ate.com. We dive into more NBA, basketball, maybe a little baseball. Hour 2 is next. And I'm saying 1080 The Fan.
With spring here, it's time to think about your lawn.
disappointed, but don't worry, podcast is available. It's on 1080thefan.com. It's on Odyssey.com. It's on the Odyssey app. I'm confident that if you ask your smart speaker in the right way. But you know what I forget? It's on YouTube too, right?
That's right.
You
We
go back
are.
and-
We're
go
live.
back and watch it. You can see how handsome we are. If you've never seen the dynamic duo that is me and Will Ortner,
The Will and Luke Power Hour.
don't watch it when your girlfriend's in the room. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I
She won't
might
be your
get my
girlfriend
weather
from now
app
on.
out in front of her.
That's
You'll
right.
never see that. It's become a running joke with me and the boys. A lot of weather apps with me and my buddies out.
Yeah.
Not a lot of talking to girls.
Yeah, that makes sense.
A lot of being like, we should have went and talked to them on the drive home.
You always should. The answer is always yes.
I think.
How do you not have the chutzpah to go out and just talk to whomever, whenever, wherever? Come on.
No, you just make jokes, and then I can never tell if people are staring at me because I've got it going on, or if it's like, holy crap, that guy is tall.
Have you used my pickup line yet? I gave you the easiest icebreaker ever.
You're talking about the, hey, I almost wore that.
Yeah, I almost wore the same outfit.
I have not. I need to break
just,
that out.
Just use it.
I'll use it.
Do it. Use it this weekend.
Next pretty woman I see.
Just do it.
I'll break it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And just find whatever, like, I almost wore those same shoes. I almost wore that same dress. I almost wore that same scarf. Make it specific.
Pick out something. Don't be like, I almost wore those same yoga pants.
Yeah. Yes, don't do that. But yeah, and just go, thank goodness I did. Always opens the conversation.
Thank goodness I didn't wear that same hair tie.
I almost did my hair the exact same way today.
I'm glad,
Oh, really?
glad
Yeah.
I didn't.
Dude,
You would have worn it so
this-
much better than me.
See? You're making yourself laugh. It's the easiest of all time.
I will
because
tell
you will know that here's the beauty
Yeah.
of it. You'll know right away if she has a sense of humor.
True.
And if she has a good sense of humor, you can literally carry on the conversation for as long as you want without having to say anything of substance. So you don't have to be cool or clever or whatever. Just play off of her.
There you go. That's
Just
smart.
go. As long as she wants to take it. And she'll come back and it's
I'll tell you what though. You know what the hot conversation at the bar with the bros?
What's a hot conversation with the bar at the bros? Bro at the bars.
WNBA. We power ranked WNBA.
Yes, in what way? By talent?
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet you did.
Yes, we did. It was an hour long. Like I remember between going up and getting the beers.
Yeah.
We took an intermission to get beers 2.
Okay.
And then beers 3 is about when we finished, but it was about an hour.
You're how old?
I am 26.
Single?
My buddies are 24.
Okay. So all mid-20s, all single?
One isn't, but he
Okay.
doesn't know he's not single yet.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he's got the girl and he's talking about the girl the whole time, and then you're like, okay, cool. So you got a girlfriend. He's like, nah, we're not there. We're not putting labels.
Okay.
It's that.
Don't talk about girls. Talk to girls. Just come on.
Look,
please.
You know what? We found a good spot.
Where's your spot?
Can
we not give it away? You don't.
Well, I don't want the riffraff in. I don't want them. Look, let's just say it had a nice little outdoor spot.
Where are you hanging?
It
Where
was
you
good.
This in Vancouver?
No, this is in Portland.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. There's plenty good outdoor spots. Where are you hanging out?
That's what I'm saying. This one was in the I think it's called Ronton's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Nice little outdoor setup.
Ronton's over on Burnside, isn't it?
Sure. I don't know streets. Sure.
How do you not know streets?
Why would I know streets? I've lived here my
'Cause
whole
you're an
life. Just
adult
give me-
person.
No, just give me like, hey, it's over by the old golf course, over by Prairie. Oh yeah, I got you. I can get over there.
Make it. Okay. In relation to Prairie Fields, where is it at? Dude, it's in California. Yeah, okay, but like so south?
Just give me.
Wait, do you know north and south?
Could I find north and south?
Like if
when
I
I'm
told you to
looking
go
outside?
somewhere and go north, or do I have to be like, okay, so if you're
No,
driving
no.
from the high school to Prairie Fields,
No shot.
you need to take a
No shot. I think the sun rises in the east and sets in the west.
Pretty good.
So
I'm proud of you.
I would have an attempt there. Let's put it this way. I was at Central Washington for 6 years.
Yeah.
Year 3, I realized that they called it North Campus, not because on the map it was at the top, but because it was actually north.
Wait.
I just
You
assumed
didn't realize that the top of the map was north?
So the top of the map is where like the north part of campus was.
Sure.
I just thought that they called it North Campus because it was at the top of the map. Like we didn't call it South Campus, West Campus, East Campus.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, you're gonna go to North Cafe, gonna go North Campus. It's like, oh yeah, top of the map. Didn't even like put in
It's the
like
northern
realization. Like, hey, that is. It also tells the directions. Will.
Yeah.
I'm not a directions guy.
I'm
not a directions guy.
Buddy, I don't know how to feel about that. Well, here's the direction we're gonna go.
Ooh, can't wait.
We're gonna take a little take a breath,
Siesta?
take a breath, and we're gonna talk about the NBA playoffs. We've got 2 series going on. Feels very much like one's over, even if you get Tyrese Halliburton back. A diminished Tyrese Halliburton. I don't think he's going to do a lot of good. We'll see if we can get both series into one segment. If we can't, we'll use 2. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk NBA playoffs. We do it next. Sinner and Saint on 1080 The Fan. That's you just kind of shake your head. Luka Doncic is insane. I mean, he's played
second best player in the world right now.
Yeah, and I mean, he's played 42 playoff games. He's averaging 31 points, which is second all time behind Jordan. Almost 8.5 assists, 9.5 rebounds in his first 42 postseason games. He's almost averaging a triple-double. And he just casually makes a game winner over the defensive player of the year. Like, man, whatever. I got you.
Someone somewhere said that he's doing this for all the fat guys that look like they just went straight to the gym from Bojangles.
I don't know, man. I mean, you know, obviously he has a different look than everybody. But man, like if you're questioning his fire or his desire, man, what exactly did he say to Rudy Gobert?
I cannot say some of those words, but it was essentially, you can't guard me.
Yeah.
With a couple other
Did he say something else in
adjectives to describe Rudy Gobert.
Oh, man, it was so funny in the post game. He's just like, I just get to my spot, and I get to my spot, and I get to my spot, and I get to my spot. But, like, dude, the second he made that shot, he's like, what's up now?
Yep.
That's the big scream. It was just.
Gotta let him. I love that fire, though. Like,
So
I
do I.
don't
It's great.
like the fake, like, just hit a big shot. I'm stoic staring at
Yeah.
you. I'm Mr. Cool.
No,
Like,
it's-
no,
yeah.
let him know.
Yeah.
Talk
I'm
your
afraid of you.
noise. Talk your noise.
I ain't afraid of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like you said, they're gonna lose the next two, and they'll be out, and it'll be the Timberwolves, and then we'll love them again.
Yeah, that's right. We'll be back to saying that Ant Edwards is Michael Jordan.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I'm looking at it. I mean, I don't have all of the assist leaders up here, but you know, the playoff leaders for points, man, it's right there with. Let's see if we can find career points for playoffs. It's got to be on here somewhere, but he's ridiculous. And there's just nothing about the Eastern Conference, as much as I would like to say that it's, you know, it's like, oh, if the Celtics get there, it'll be fantastic or whatever. But you know, it just doesn't have the excitement there. Luka Doncic, number 12 in assists in playoff history
already.
Average per game.
Average
per game.
Wow.
So he's at 8.3. Would you care to guess who's number one?
Probably like a John Stockton.
John Stockton, number 2, 10.1.
Magic,
12.3.
Yeah.
So active players, John Wall, Trae Young are the only two ahead of Luka.
Well, John Walls isn't fair. He played in like 3 playoff games.
Playoff games has John Wall played in. But Trae Young, how about that? I didn't have.
Yeah.
I don't picture him passing the ball ever. So.
No, he's a sneaky big assist guy.
37 playoff games for John Wall.
I'm shocked that it's over 15. Shocked. He's always hurt. But I feel like
it's not over 37. How is that over 50?
15.
Oh, 15. I was like, okay.
15. Like, Will, your math is off.
I was like, well, your brain is not working.
I feel like part of the problem, too, though, with Boston is, like, we expected this from them.
It's a fair point.
You know, like, there comes a point in time where you do become a victim of your own success. And when you've had this Brown Tatum core together, or the main two guys, for 9 years,
Yeah.
and you've been to 7 Eastern
Boy, is it
Conference
that
finals.
long? Jeez.
Yeah, I know, and it's crazy, and Tatum's still 19. But when you have this core that basically every year you get to the Eastern Conference finals, it becomes well, you need to win the big one, or you aren't as good as what we have always said.
Yeah.
You become a late 90s Portland Trailblazers team, or do you
I think you're straight
become
there.
a Detroit Pistons in 2004 team where you did just enough so you won, right?
Yeah.
And so it feels like it's getting to that point where they have to decide. Like, this is the best team that they've had. This team is unbelievably
Well, and they
deep.
get Porzingis back, probably for game 4, they said.
Think about it. You have Tatum, All-Star. Brown, All-Star. Drew Holiday, All-Star. Derek White, if he hasn't been an All-Star, should have been an All-Star. Porzingis, All-Star. Al Horford, I know he's old, but he was an All-Star at one point. Oh, by the way, your significant, like, role players don't really play guys. It's Sam Hauser, who's lethal from 3, and Peyton Pritchard, who can do everything that you want. He's just a little bit worse on defense than Derek White.
Yeah.
You have one of, if not the deepest teams in the last 5 years. right? Probably since the early Golden State Warriors, probably the 2015 Golden State Warriors. It's that deep of a team. You have to win. You're playing in the Eastern Conference.
Yep.
It's historically bad.
And you're only playing teams that are hurt.
They're all hurt. The healthiest team you've played was the Cavs, who was without their starting center, and then halfway through the series lost their best player.
They lost their whole team. Going in that last game, they didn't play. I don't think any starters were out there, it didn't feel like.
Right.
And they still almost made a comeback on you.
Right. So it feels like they have to do it.
Yep.
But in a weird way, it also feels like the best chance for whoever comes out of the West, like Minnesota or the Mavericks. It feels like the best chance for them because you can't tell me that Denver isn't going to come in and reload.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Denver's going to come back and figure it out. And there's going to be some kind of movement. Now
There's gonna be some teams getting significantly better this offseason. There's plenty of free agents out there that can make a big impact.
Right.
I love that the Suns and Lakers are both working out Bronny.
I was going to say, did you hear?
Yeah.
Bronny to Phoenix and then LeBron to Phoenix.
He'll
fix the problem. He can pass.
It's intriguing. And he just gets to play point guard. Doesn't even have to worry about shooting.
Yeah,
that would be fun to watch.
Look at what he can do.
Just for fun, I pulled up the rebounding. I knew Luka would not be near the top with 9.5 rebounds per game. But would you care to guess who is number one in average rebounds per game in the playoffs and what that number is?
Bill Russell.
Okay, that's correct. Bill Russell.
I was like,
ahead of Wilt.
I was gonna say it's Bill or Wilt, and
Yep.
it all depends on if they even took rebounding stats back then. I'm gonna say 18,
24.87 rebounds per game for Bill Russell. 24.46.
and he was coaching.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. I love the idea that Jordan is unquestionably the greatest, and you can't count the championships that Bill Russell has because he didn't play against him. Well, he played against Wilt, and he played against Jerry West,
Yeah.
and he played against, like, you go back and watch, like, some of it, and I know Bill Russell wasn't the personality that Jordan was, and he wasn't the ambassador of the game because he was too busy being an ambassador for civil rights.
Right.
Sorry. But, dude, Bill Russell, 24... almost 25 rebounds per game.
Right.
Could you imagine somebody doing that? The number one active leader is Nikola Jokic.
Probably 13.
12.
12?
12.2.
I was gonna say the thing with MJ is always going to be he's the coolest.
Yes.
He is
and nobody will admit that.
He is the coolest, which is why to everyone he is the GOAT.
Mhm.
And he has an argument where you can put him over anyone.
Yeah.
Like, you want to say Magic? Well, he beat Magic.
Yep.
You want to say Bill Russell? Well, Bill Russell played when there was like 8 teams, so then it's him. Oh, you want to say LeBron? Well, he's got more titles. What
Yep.
people just won't admit is that
He's
MJ
just-
was
yeah.
the coolest.
Yes.
He had the coolest aura.
Yep.
But also, humans evolve and
Yeah.
are continuing to evolve, and training is evolving, and food is evolving. But tell me again why a guy who played 30, almost 40 years ago
Yeah.
is the best player of all time.
Well, and here's the other thing that I think a lot of people don't put into account: timing.
Right.
He was the right guy
At the right time.
at the right time. Because if Michael Jordan played in the 60s and he was that cool and he was that good and there was only 8 teams and they weren't on TV and nobody showed up to the arenas, nobody would have cared.
Right.
But he came at the tail end of Magic and Bird saving the league,
Mm-hmm.
and he came he was there for for a lot of it too, because I mean he was there in the mid '80s, but he started winning at the tail end of Magic and Bird,
The dream team.
the dream team when the sport became global. Television commercials and product placement and Gatorade and Nike and all. He was the right guy at the right time in a sport that needed a hero and was ready to give him everything that he needed to do it.
And he was in the second biggest or third biggest market in the country.
Yeah.
And he did something that no other player has ever done since. And I don't think that they'll ever really be able to do it. You don't really know, if you don't want to look into it, what he thinks politically.
Yeah.
Whether you agree with LeBron or not, LeBron is very vocal politically.
Yeah.
and that is immediately going to turn off half of the country.
But the other thing too, though, is you talk about timing. Jordan comes 10 years later, and you've got Twitter, because somebody else would have won in the 90s.
Right.
Like if he comes after Shaq, who was a big personality and could go out and if he comes after LeBron, and you have LeBron has the scoring record, whatever it is, or they're in the league at the same time, it just so much of it is just timing and, like you said, just being cool.
Yeah,
but being the right guy at the right time, like
smart enough to shut his mouth.
But we do this with golf all the time too, which is, it's like, well, who's the next Tiger? There won't be a next Tiger. Tiger is the reason that we ask that question. He was the right guy at the right time in a sport that needed somebody that looked different,
right?
That could go out and win. And he doesn't have the all-time majors record.
Nope.
He hasn't won the most. If you put his resume against Jack's, it's not as good. Now you can go and parse out the argument and just go, well, he won the most at the time. Well, Bobby Jones did that. Bobby Jones held all of the trophies at the same time. Well, yeah, but Tiger did it in a different way. No, he was very cool, and he was there at the right time in a sport that absolutely needed him, and it was being the right guy at the right time.
Well, and MJ, like I said, it came off a little more aggressive than I meant it, but he was smart enough that when politics came up, he shut up, because he knew that if he said something, it's going to offend half or offend another half. And he said, I'm going to shut up.
Yeah.
And no one will ever know. And
but he played in an era where you could.
Right. Because nowadays, like, kids have Twitters in 4th grade.
Yes.
You're firing off tweets in 4th grade. You're going to find all kinds of dumb stuff
that are going to look
people
terrible
say.
When you finally make a Major League All-Star team and somebody goes back and looks through your tweets and just go, do you know what he said about the Paw Patrol?
Right. Do you, like, if you're a big-time gambler, he would have never gotten away with that. Never. But he was in the perfect time. And it's...
Well, and it used to be like, so when Jordan was big, like the media was just trying to figure out how to interact with athletes in that way.
Right.
Where it was like, so like, tell me about this, like, or the parade that he went on with the Dream Team, where people just wanted to be close to him. And they didn't ask him serious questions because you didn't ask athletes those questions.
Right.
He was a trendsetter. So if he didn't want, like, nobody thought to ask him what he thought of politics.
Right.
So anyways, what to watch next? Sinner and Saint, 1080 The Fan.
Aloha, it's Marcus from the 808. I got big news.
And what's the matchup within that game that matters most?
Well, we're going to watch the...
You only get one game.
Ooh, only one? Can I pick a race?
Yeah, pick whatever you want.
It's the Indy 500.
Really? You care about the Indy 500, the pomp and circumstance?
But my mom does.
Okay.
And so because my mom does, I have then, in turn, learned to care.
There you go.
So I've come around.
All right. They drive fast in a circle. They take left turns.
They take a lot of left. This is actually one of the few that takes a lot of left turns.
Interesting.
Well, because like Indy and Formula One,
they'll turn right.
They do all kinds of other
crazy.
stuff. Yeah, they're not afraid to go on the road.
I'll tell you the sporting event that got me kind of thinking about it, and it was a great race, but the idea of just pomp and circumstance, watching the Kentucky